What's good? What's good? This your boy DJ Cree back with another video. Man, it seems like Drake and Offset responds to T-Pain of all people. There is beef in these rap streets, man. Everybody got beef with each other. Man, I'm gonna be the first to say I don't care, but it make good content. So it is what it is. If y'all don't know, man, T-Pain was on a podcast. These podcasts are turning these rappers into chatty patties. Um, I'm gonna play the clip of T-Pain, and then I'm gonna come back around with my full commentary. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Here we go.
No. The one thing I learned from Drake, and here's the crazy thing. One thing I learned from Drake, but one thing he hasn't followed his own words. Drake said, "I want to be one of the people that gracefully bow out and not get kicked out." I have ever since said,
You really
"Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all." I see y'all when I drop. Don't worry about it. I'll just drop something. Let me know if you heard it. Drake is like, no, listen. Okay, I got another one. Hold, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick, just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, he didn't want to be. And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what? I'm out this bitch.
This is live shows now.
I'm out this motherfucker. I'm not trying to impress y'all niggas. Y'all niggas don't give a fuck if I live or die. Why the fuck would I keep trying to impress y'all niggas?
Now I'm gonna be honest. This don't seem like a total diss, but I do get it. I do get it. Drake is a sensitive character right now, so everything that's said about Drake is gonna be taken as offense. You know what I'm saying? And I do think T-Pain could have said it better. Could have made more sense when it comes to it. But it is what it is, man. Podcast turn everybody to chatty patties all of a sudden. All rappers are chatty patties because they understand they got to make their money. They got to make, you got to go viral nowadays, I guess. It is what it is with it. But, Drake is not too happy about it, of course, and Offset. Drake did write up under this post. It said, "This guy has always had resentment for me. You can hear it every time he speaks on my name." And then Offset says, "The boy is the boy. Ain't S gonna change all that hating on another grown man who do more numbers than anybody is diabolical." Then Toronto Raptors rapper says, "Thoughts? What y'all thinking?" Again, I think Drake is in his sensitive era, so anybody who speaks his name and don't like kiss his, what, is subject for ridicule. And I'm glad he's speaking up. At least he's on post like, "Hey man, checking it." I do like that part, but Drake, come on, bro. Like he didn't say nothing super bad. But I do think it was chatty. Now, Offset, what I'm saying, letting you know where he stands on everything. I respect it. I respect that they ain't do nothing wrong, but I also don't think it's nothing extra gangster. Um, that was done, you know, and I think this is just goes to show you what side people are on, what fence people are on, and if you speaking on Drake's name right now, it's gonna be a sensitive subject for a lot of rappers. Next up, man, I got my boy Jeezy, man. Jeezy doing his podcast rounds, man, talking about how he messed up with the drunken love, crazy in love, drunken love uh, song. He had a verse on it. I guess they took that thing right off. Y'all check this out, and I come back with some commentary.
I don't know if y'all know, I dropped the ball when I wrote my verse for Drunken Love for Beyonce.
Oh, wow.
Because I was on
I didn't even know you was on.
Oh, yeah. Your Hov called me. He's like, I took you off the song, by the way. I'm on there. I was like, I figured that.
Is there a Drunken Love version floating out there?
It's in somebody's drive.
Somewhere?
It's in somebody's drive. Tell B we need to put that out. You know what I'm saying? It's some vintage. Like, I've never been in the room with Hov. Only time I was in the room with Hov was when I wrote the Drunken Love version. That was a mistake.
Really?
No more, champ. He came in the room. She's like, you got something for this? You know, I'm going in. It sounded crazy. You know what I'm saying? This is her song, but I'm just trying to go hard. You know what I'm saying? He probably like, oh, no. We gotta put that out. I've seen Jay records before. Like, he was doing Blueprint 3. He called me. He's like, what you say?
I will say this. When it comes to rappers doing verses, hey, I could respect a rapper who'll take a rapper out because they don't like it.
Sitting on over there.
And also respect when rappers realize, hey, that wasn't the best verse.
And I was like, what you want? And I said, yo, I got this record called Real As It Get. Shoot it right over to him. Mm-hmm. He called me. I love it. Mm-hmm. Change this part, change that part. Gave him the song. He called me about My President Is Black. I didn't even hear the record. He called me to do the inauguration party with him. I do the inauguration party. We go over to Love in DC and we up there just chilling. He have Lenny S. He played the song. I do my verse. They stopped the song and played the instrumental. He started rapping a verse I've never heard before to the remix. I'm like, this is crazy.
So that time he performed that record was the first time I heard it. Wow. Ever in my life.
And this is crazy, bro. And I mean this in the most respectful way possible. I got more records with Hov than he got with Big.
That's a fact.
Imagine that. And none of those records came by me, yo, I gotta get it was more so like, yo, I got this. He was like, yo, send it over. Mm-hmm. He'll send the fire emojis. I already know what that means. I ain't even calling him no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna look up one day, it's gonna be on my Gmail. And you gotta think, like, I grew up listening to Hov. The joint he had with Foxy.
I ain't even gonna lie. I feel him on a God More records, but come on, bro. Jay-Z wasn't even super hot around the time he was doing records with Big, and that's why probably he wasn't on a lot of records with Big.
Brown back in the day and all that stuff, like that was my soundtrack. That was motivating me then. So even now when we connected and we was doing music together, I felt like we just tag team on motivating. Like, you know, he hit me up for the Everyday I'm Hustler remix. That was Hov. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would hit me for stuff. And then this is crazy. No, I never told nobody this. The reason why I went so hard and I brought up the Usher record was the Love in the Club, because I sat in that room and it was like 30 people in there. And I was on the floor with my shoes off. I mean, I was stressing. I was like, I got to get this. Because the chatter was they wanted Jay-Z on the song. And I'm like, I got to get on. I need this.
Not missing this opportunity.
And I put the verse down. Polo then went crazy. Shout out to Polo. He's the realest.
Yeah.
Because the label was like, we going to change this up. We're going to put this person on the song. Polo called me. He said, listen to the radio tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I said, what you going to do? Don't worry about it. He leaked the record. That's what I'm saying. He put the record out in the world. You know what I'm saying? It was like the crazy ever. But Jay called me. He was just laughing. He was like, I wasn't going to do you like that, man. You good. I was just like, yo, I didn't know. And he called me after I did the video. He's like, yeah, you did good, man. You didn't get lost in it. You stayed yourself. I love that.
So that's a real friendship.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. Good stuff. It was a lot to take in, but I will say it seems like Jay-Z really like, you know, rappers who really lived a certain lifestyle, you know, really was hustlers and could hold their own and you know what I'm saying, lyrically. So I think this is good stuff, man. Good content. I'm glad Jeezy's back on his circuit, you know, saying what he's saying and doing what he's doing, because we do miss that Jeezy, you know what I'm saying? So it's good stuff. One more. Scott Storch calls out the Roots. And he says the Roots are haters, and explains that they disrespected him after to depart from the group. So in other words, they caused him to depart from the group because he was being disrespected. He felt disrespected. Here we go.
And Scott, who were you at that point? Because Dre was already Dre. But you weren't known at that point. I know you were with the Roots, but at this point, Dre was here. Where were you?
It's you should have your headphones on, man. I was the producer's producer. No, I mean, like, honestly, I started in the Roots and did a lot of stuff for them.
You did.
Very underappreciated, and I was the guy who, like, again, came up with a lot of the nucleus of what that shit was. And I left the group.
and was told that I was like the Pete Best of the Roots. You know, Pete Best is the guy that quit the Beatles.
Left the Beatles, yeah.
Yeah. And like, I mean, even my girlfriend like broke up with me because of that and said, "Oh, you fucked up," and this and that. I was like, "No, I didn't. Like, I see bigger. I'm not going to go on the road with a bunch of guys that don't appreciate me and be like, that's the white guy who plays keys in the Roots." So no, I'm the fucking guy coming up with all the shit.
They didn't appreciate
I'll be honest with you. That's funny. That is funny.
you.
Not at all. As
was
a matter
a
of fact,
falling
they
out.
call me the White Devil, and I'm like the most harmonious, loving,
I'm not gonna lie to you. That is wrong. That you don't have somebody on your team and then call them a white devil. Now, were they playing? They probably was playing. Yeah, you a white devil. You know what I'm saying? But it's still totally disrespectful. And I'm sure they didn't realize the talent and the star power of Scott Storch.
racist person
Early
ever, and like it just hurt me. I was like,
How'd you meet him? How'd you link up with them? Because I work out to one of the songs from Roots.
Yeah,
the one that you did.
Yeah, well, that wasn't made for the Roots. That song, after I left the Roots, they realized, I guess, that they needed me still, and I was, I got my own little studio in this place called Sigma Sound, where all the like disco stuff was recorded.
This is where? What city?
In Philly.
Okay.
And they record there downstairs. So of course they come upstairs and they're like, you got anything? And they saw I was working with this girl. I'm working with a girl who at the time worked at Urban Outfitters, and now she's one of the most legendary neo soul legends, Jill Scott. So Jill Scott was not an artist. I was like, yo, you should be an artist.
Shout out to Jill Scott.
You're awesome. She was like working at Urban Outfitters and doing an off-Broadway rendition of Rent. And Questlove came in and heard what we were making. And he said, oh, I got to have this. And that was You Got Me, the song you like to work out to. And they told me, like, when I gave it to them, I was like, make sure Jill stays on it. And at the last minute, they switched it to Erykah Badu.
Huh.
But Jill wrote it.
Erykah Badu.
When I went to tell, like, the people in the Roots that, like, I was still, like, talking to, sort of that I was going to work with.
Now, hold on. That is industry stuff. A lot of times when you make a song and the label has control of who gets on that song and who doesn't get on that song. So it may not have been the Roots per se, but they probably had some power to put in whoever on it.
Right. They were like, you working with Dre 10 years too late, bro. Good luck.
This is
like, yeah. And we went on the run of runs.
Did they
and
really
lit
say
up?
that?
Yeah, they're just all haters.
What happened to those guys?
I ain't gonna lie to you. To say you were working with Dr. Dre 10 years too late is a wild statement, because Dr. Dre is a legend. He's always going to be relevant in some way, shape, or form or fashion. And I know they eating their words. Whether this is true or not, if it's true, they eating their words.
I mean, they're on the Jimmy Fallon show as a house
the
band.
Roots, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just dog them out, like whatever. That was a bad
You're definitely dogging them out.
part of my journey.
Same group, yeah. Can you pull them up, Rob? They're on Jimmy Fallon every single night.
Yeah.
But do they make new stuff, or it's just they're playing whatever that they're
I don't
playing?
know. You would know that one.
I don't.
All right, we don't got to listen to the rest. But I will say this, man. You never know how people gonna turn out or what people gonna become. So treat people with respect. Treat people with dignity. But that's a wild story for the Roots to be hating on Scott Storch that hard, and I'm pretty sure they were, especially if he was already into drugs and things like that. They probably treated him more like a J than anything else. But that's just my opinion. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what y'all think. Peace.